Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of playable classes, and they've each got their own unique flavor, but they're not created equal. To rectify this, patch 5.1 brought substantial changes to some, small updates to others, but a few unfortunate jobs were left wanting more. In today's video, we're going to look at 3 jobs and talk about how they're designed, what makes them great, and if there are things missing, we'll talk about how to improve them. Let's get started. Since Final Fantasy XIV's launch, the Dragoon has been an action-packed damage dealer. Over the years, playing the job has become more intense, and what we have now feels like the upper limit of fast-paced combat that players can experience in the game. But what's interesting is, the Dragoon is the only melee damage dealer that doesn't use attack speed increases to add to the sensation of speed. Instead, it has a series of moves that are constantly weaved in between combos, and they have a beautiful rhythm that's always exciting to play and watch. But the best part is, you're not pressing buttons at random. Almost every off-global cooldown action you have is an integral part of your resource generation, so your actions feel purposeful and they're effective. Transitioning from the 4.0 expansion Stormblood to the 5.0 expansion Shadowbringers saw a lot of off-global cooldown actions removed because they didn't add anything to the core rotation of the job. Meanwhile, the Dragoon kept most of theirs, and they're better for it. High Jump, Mirage Dive, and GrSkogul are all on a 30-second rotation, and those 3 moves are the core of the Dragoon's resource gain and expenditure. Using High Jump will damage the target and unlock Mirage Dive. Using Mirage Dive will damage the target and give you a stack on your Dragon Gauge. GrSkogul is just a damaging ability, but using GrSkogul when you have 2 stacks on your Dragon Gauge will change your gauge from Blood of the Dragon to Life of the Dragon, which unlocks your ultimate moves, Nastron, and Stardiver. So what we have here is a bare bones job with combos, a job gauge resource, and actions to spend those resources on, both of which are done in a straightforward manner. But it still manages to maintain a high degree of intensity because of the frequency at which you engage with your resource generating actions and your gameplay loop. Add all of that stuff to the 1-2-3 combo system that permeates most of Final Fantasy XIV's jobs, and you've got the recipe for the Dragoon, one of the most well-designed jobs in the game, and that's probably why not much changed about it in patch 5.1. On the flip side, we've got another well-designed job, but this one isn't interested in being easily learned. Since the Samurai was released in patch 4.0 at the start of the Stormblood expansion, it's been fantastic. The Shadowbringers expansion intended to add to the job's already comprehensive kit, and they did so without convoluting or messing up what already worked. But prior to patch 5.1, there was something missing, a fully functioning capstone ability. Shoha, the Samurai's level 80 ability, was changed in patch 5.1 to be an OGCD action that can be used by spending 3 stacks of the Samurai's newest resource, Meditation. These meditation stacks are gained by using Iaijutsu, the weapon skills that Samurais perform when spending their primary resource, which is called Sen. Prior to patch 5.1, the only way to gain meditation stacks was through the channeled ability Meditate, so this awesome looking ultimate move was very rarely used, but now it's constantly sprinkled into your rotation and it looks and feels glorious. Similar to the Dragoon, the Samurai uses a high frequency of OGCD actions to add to the feeling of speed, but it also has an attack speed buff to make things even faster. Furthermore, the Samurai has resources that require pretty strict management. It's a very busy job and it's overwhelming at times, but it's complete in every way. Unfortunately, complete isn't a word I'd use to describe the last job on our list for today. The Red Mage is very cool. It's a hybrid of a caster and a melee with a few support options, but there are things missing from the kit, and those missing pieces weren't added in patch 5.1. For the Dragoon and Samurai, the developers baked the job's core resources into the area damage rotations of the job, so whether you're fighting 1 enemy or 10, you feel all the job's mechanics. Dragoons have a 3-hit AoE combo that maintains Blood of the Dragon, and GrSkogul, Nastron, and Stardiver all deal area damage, so they feel good in every situation. For Samurais, their AoE combos generate Kenki for OGCD attacks and buffs, and Sen for your area damage Iaijutsu. Meanwhile, the Red Mage's area damage rotation doesn't interact with one of the job's main gimmicks, proc-based abilities. For anyone who doesn't know, whenever the Red Mage casts Ver Arrow or Ver Thunder, there's a 50% chance to unlock Ver Stone or Ver Fire respectively. The unlocked abilities deal more damage and generate more resources than the Red Mage's filler spell Jolt. The Red Mage's main area attacks have no procs, so dungeon pulls feel slow and incredibly lackluster. To make matters worse, the job's other gimmick, being a caster melee hybrid, loses some footing when you're fighting multiple enemies as well. Against a single target, when your black and white mana are above 80, you can unleash a devastating 3-hit melee combo, followed by 2 enormously powerful spells, Verholy or Verflare, and Scorch. This moment is without a doubt the most satisfying moment for the Red Mage, but again, against multiple targets, that moment does not exist. Instead of using an area damage melee combo, you have a single area damage melee attack that you can spam a few times, and there's no follow-up spells for a crescendo at the end. Realistically, the job should have an AoE melee combo that, when completed, unlocks Verholy or Verflare and Scorch, all of which should deal area damage. This way, whatever you're fighting gets to feel the full extent of your job's rotation. Now with that in mind, it's not all doom and gloom for the Red Mage. It received some nice changes in patch 5.1 to the ability Acceleration. Now it guarantees Verfire and Verstone procs on your next 3 casts of Verarrow and Verthunder. This helps to remove some of the randomness from the job, but it also speeds up its resource generation and increases its damage output. The Red Mage also received buffs to most of their spells in the patch. With that said, the Red Mage's resource generation still feels a bit incomplete. Contra Sixt and Fleesh are 2 OGCD abilities that deal damage. That's it. Because their purpose is so limited, they feel like a chore on a job whose rotation is supposed to be about resource management. Giving Contra Sixt and Fleesh something as simple as +5 black and white mana on activation would make these actions feel more connected to the rest of the job's kit. The last complaint I have for the Red Mage is a bit more subjective, but I think it's important. I don't think there are any benefits to having the movement ability Displacement connected to the melee ability Engagement. I firmly believe that actions that are designed to give your character additional mobility, like Elusive Jump on the Dragoon and Hisatsu Gyoten and Yaten on the Samurai, are at their best when their main purpose is movement, not a core part of your rotation. It's okay if they do damage, but that damage should cost something because those abilities are supposed to be for moving around the battlefield, not cranking out DPS numbers. Backflips are really cool, there's no denying that, but I only want to use a backflip when I need to, not because I have to. Now, just because I had a lot of complaints about the Red Mage doesn't mean the Dragoon and Samurai can get away completely free. The Dragoon ability Spine Shatter Dive is a gap closer, and it does a hell of a lot of damage, which encourages players to use it as part of their rotation and not specifically to close gaps. It'd be interesting to me if Spine Shatter Dive was a combo action with Elusive Jump, both off the global cooldown so you can weave them seamlessly in battle to get out of danger and get right back into the fight. The Samurai is like a big tower of Jenga blocks. If you remove any one piece, the whole thing starts to shake and fall apart. But there are still places that could be tweaked without messing up the overall flow of the job. The ability Third Eye is one of the coolest actions in the Samurai's kit. It reduces the amount of damage taken by the next attack by 10% for 3 seconds. If you're hit within that short 3-second duration, you gain the effect of Open Eyes. While Open Eyes is active, you can activate Merciful Eyes for a very pathetic 200 potency heal, or you can use the Kenki efficient damaging ability Hisatsu Seigan. Trying to block enemy area attacks with Third Eye is incredibly satisfying, especially when you pull it off. But the cure potency on Merciful Eyes is pathetic, and it should be increased significantly. I'm not a fan of any action that feels like it doesn't make a difference in the grand scheme of things, and Merciful Eyes is one of those actions. Hisatsu Seigan is a little bit different. It is a more efficient version of Hisatsu Shinten, but both of these abilities feel functionally the same to use. For this reason, I think the Hisatsu Shinten button should automatically update to Hisatsu Seigan while under the effect of Open Eyes. To wrap things up, patch 5.1 was a bit of a wake-up call. It came in and corrected huge flaws in the Ninja and Summoner and touched up a lot of other jobs in the game. But now, after experiencing jobs that feel fully fleshed out with a comprehensive action list, those that aren't close to perfect stand out in a bad way. I have to say again, the Red Mage is a lot of fun, but whenever I play it, there's always a feeling that it's not working exactly the way it should, and hopefully one day that'll change. And there we go, that's going to do it for my impressions of the Dragoon, Samurai, and Red Mage in patch 5.1. None of the Dragoon's main functions changed at all in the patch, but it received some minor buffs, but it felt great before and it continues to feel great. The Samurai got some adjustments to its capstone ability Shoha, so now that gets to be used a lot and it feels so good. Sometimes I genuinely just like watching the animation play out, even though it's not optimal to do that. It's just such a cool looking ability and I absolutely love using it. But then the Red Mage still, for me, feels like it's missing some things to make it feel like a complete package. So hopefully the developers aren't afraid to continue tinkering with the job until it feels a little bit better. Because I can't be the only one that feels this way, right? Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not, but let me know in the comments below. With all of that said, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Final Fantasy XIV, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.